Hello everyone and welcome again to AI in Real Estate. Here's where we share practical examples on how you can deploy AI on your day-to-day to make your day a lot more productive, see the insights and see what nobody is seeing, what everybody else is missing. And a couple of weeks ago, we brought a really great guest, and she's here again to explain what she's doing, what she's seeing on the ground, and a couple of interesting, analysts or agents that can really help us move forward and improve productivity, improve insights, and improve our returns. So, Elaine, welcome back to AI in Real Estate. You belong to the house already, I know that, but I'm always surprised and amazed by the things you're seeing out there. But like for those who missed the last episodes, I always ask this question, like tell us who you are and what you're doing here and what you're building with AI.
Hi, Marcio. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here again this week. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely, always.
I'm Elaine. Yeah, I'm Elaine Williams, and I'm a consultant in the multifamily industry, and I help organizations with operational efficiencies. I also help them with processes, and now I help them adopt AI and all
Mhm.
different types of AI strategies. And I'm excited to be working with Lenny and be learning a lot of different things and to help customers apply all the things that are available in AI for them.
Yeah, I know. We have spoken before that adoption has been a challenge in the industry. And I think overall, through a lot of industries out there, but in real estate is also a challenge. So I think that's really good. The way we're discussing this to help foster the adoption and actually make everyone more productive and with better outcomes.
So I think that, there's all very obvious AI uses, CRMs, following up after delinquencies, helping with renewal nurturing, those kinds of AIs, agents and applications are common use, I think, now, as far as, people are really finding them useful to help the teams kind of supplement their
Hmm.
workload, right? But there's so many other areas of operations, and I think that today, multifamily companies are really seeing that AI is useful at the corporate
Hmm.
level. Applying, reports, doing training, writing training materials, and all of those kinds of things. And so they're really seeing that application at that corporate level component. However, maybe not as how is my community manager going to use AI? How are they going to translate that? Can they really use it, or are we just going to kind of dictate to them or, give
Hmm.
it to them? And so I'm an operator at heart. That's what I've done in the past. And my former company that I worked with, that, that's what I lived for, was to help the operating team really have practical tools in order to accomplish our goals as an organization, but also help them do their job. What is it in it for
Hmm.
them? And so I worked very hard to help them with something that was in it
Yep.
for them, that helped their job. So what I see is there's some areas that I think we could really help our teams with some planning, because that seems to be the hardest thing. Regionals don't always, they're a very important role, but they don't always have the time to sit down and
Yep.
do a plan. They're extracting all this data, they're looking at the dashboards, they're trying to troubleshoot whatever problems they have, and they don't always sit down and have a thoughtful, organized,
Hmm.
executionable plan.
And I know, like for today, you've like we discussed before, there is a great agent or analyst that you created. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah, and it's probably something a little unexpected, but I love maintenance. And I always think that, maintenance teams don't always get our focus. They're the unsung heroes that are out there solving problems every day. And that's what we actually hire them for. We hire them, trades teams, to get out there, turn the wrenches, smile for our customers, make it all better, you know.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
We don't, hire them necessarily to be, pricing specialists and ordering gurus
Mm.
and, even, dare I say, shopping cart experts, to order maintenance
Mhm.
supplies, right? So I wanted to be able to help teams be able to do that easier and more intuitive and with a lot more fact because sometimes we do make mistakes in ordering and we over
Mhm.
order and we spend more
Yep.
money than we actually have the actual turnover to put it in place. Sure, maybe we'll spend it next month, but we've already blown our budget because we've overspent, or even worse, the parts sit in the shop and gather dust, and that is somebody's money that has purchased
Yep.
those parts, and they're gathering dust. So my goal with this agent was to be able to help our maintenance teams order correctly and order from data.
No, that's great. That's great. And can you show how the analysts look like? And Lenny, and by the way, everyone, if you want to know how to build an analyst, in the last episode we had a section just dedicated to how you do that, Elaine. So I'll leave the link in the description so you can go back there and see how we're doing this.
All right, so let me show you how I created this analyst and some of the details in which I trained the analyst to be able to specifically find the parts that I'm looking for. So I'll go down here. I called it Parts and Inventory Analyst, and let me open it up.
Yeah. Okay.
So over here in the training notes, this is kind of where I've taught the analyst to do what we needed to do. So the audience is for purchasing managers, for maintenance coordinators, turn coordinators, all of those things. I've taught it to go in and take a look at the trends of renewals, the trends of
Mm-hmm.
vacancy, the compile a list of seasonal. So we want to be able to, seasonal is a big part when you're having turnover,
Yep.
especially like during the summer. It needs to consider move-ins, move-outs,
Mm-hmm.
evictions, lease expirations, skips, renewals signed. So I taught it to look at that demand. Also, I wanted to be able to make this an easy breezy order
Mm-hmm.
for the maintenance team. And so what I did was I asked for specific
Mm-hmm.
SKU numbers if those were available, because then the guys are going to be able to just jump in, go into HD Supply, put the SKU number in, and it finds
Mm-hmm.
it for them directly. As well as, pricing and the vendor to identify if they could find it,
Got
the
it.
lowest vendor available. So so that's kind of what, I trained it to do. So let me show you what
Yeah,
the
like
actual
curious to see
output
that.
was. All right. Now, can
Yep.
you see my
Yep.
prompt? Give me a shopping list. Okay, great. So that's the first thing, right? So we entered the prompt, which again, you can star as your favorite, and you can save it, which I recommend because it really makes a big
Yep.
difference and it makes it so much easier. But I wanted a shopping list for the parts for unit turns, work orders for a particular property
Mm-hmm.
and for the month of June. So the output that I'm getting is right here. They're going to give me a little bit of a here's what's included. Here's kind of a quick at a glance what we're looking at. So this property for June is expected to have 55 unit turnover, which is pretty high. Approximately 95 work orders and approximately
Mm-hmm.
painting
Mm-hmm.
50 apartments. Now I broke it down. unit turns, work orders, and paint, because as we know, sometimes we do common area painting, clubhouse, whatever, all that kind of stuff. I wanted to make
Hmm.
sure we included everything,
No, I
not
love that.
just
So
for
then it
unit.
breaks down everything that you
So
need
it,
based on your, turnovers and renewals. That's really impressive.
yeah. And, one of the things that the model looks at is your trailing 6-month average. And you can see with summer
Hmm.
demand adjustment, right? Again, the agent is looking for any seasonal trends, any kind of anomalies. What is it driven by? Is it driven by notices? Did you
Hmm.
have a lot of evictions, et cetera, et cetera? I also love this part where it's telling you what the highest recurring work order demand is, and you have four areas
Hmm.
on this particular property. This property has plumbing, appliances, doors, windows, and HVAC. And of course, for June, we would consider HVAC as one of
Exactly.
the top. So that makes a
Hmm.
lot of sense. The next thing is the workbook is designed to help your team. So that this is an important call out. And what it's saying is, here's what I've done to help your team, and here's what I'm
Hmm. Yep.
delivering,
Yep.
right? So then the supporting files, so there's two things that it's going to give you. The first thing is
Hmm.
your actual shopping list. And then the second thing is your turnover report, kind of your
Hmm.
turnover statistics. And let me just show you what the turnover
Okay.
statistics looks like real quick. Small, but it's a one pager. We like one pagers.
Uh-huh. We do. Yeah.
But it's giving you exactly the calculations that the analyst is using in order to make these decisions so that whomever is taking a look at the order and says, oh my gosh, what do you mean I got 50
Uh-huh.
turnover? What is
Uh-huh.
that? So that they can take a look and see exactly what's happening.
And Lenny
And
created
it
this
also,
dashboard for you.
correct.
That's really nice. That's beautiful.
And you can really see like your work order categories, like exactly where you're having your biggest work order
Hmm.
problems, your volume of trend. And so you can see, I mean, this property does a lot of work orders. I mean,
Uh-huh.
300,
It's a lot.
that's a big ask for our teams, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
And then, of course, it gives you your top maintenance subcategories for the past 6 months again, so you're able to kind of see exactly the pipeline of what this team is facing when they're doing their marketing.
Yeah, that looks super
Marketing,
nice.
I'm sorry, work orders and turnover. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So here is the shopping list that the analyst produces in the deliverable.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you can see SKU numbers when available because, it's pulling from the PMS. So if
Yep.
you have the ecosystem, it's going to pull directly from the invoices and it's going to look at the attached invoice from HD
Uh-huh.
Supply or wherever, and it's going to
Uh-huh.
pull those SKU numbers, but not always available. But if it is,
Yep.
it's helpful. So it's
Mm.
recommending the quantity, the vendor, so you know exactly where to go order, and the
Uh-huh.
GL code. And that's an important part because, the guys that are doing purchase orders, service managers, they're busy. And so, a lot of systems aren't easy to just find the GL code for the purchase order. So this
Mm-hmm.
is taking it directly from the P&L and from the invoice for exactly where these particular parts are always ordered in their
Mm-hmm.
system. So this is the
Mm-hmm.
company GL code.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
And then,
this
of
is
course, there's a
great.
note in here.
Uh-huh.
So I think this is really super helpful. And so we've got unit turns. Then I broke it down to be also work orders because we know, those are two different animals, right?
Uh-huh.
And then down to paint. And one of the things that is really great is there's also the painting labor in here. So it's picking up not
Uh-huh.
only the paint supply that you need to order, the materials, but the actual vendor. and labor that you use.
Uh-huh. That's really
So
nice.
one of the things that I did when I went back to the prompt, and I'll show you that in a second. I'm just gonna jump to the spreadsheet just for sake of sharing purposes, but I'll show you exactly what I did in the agent prompt again.
Uh-huh.
But here it is. It gave me this great shopping list, right? And what did I want to know? Well, I wanted to know how much. What kind of budget are we talking about? Is it going to
Uh-huh.
meet my budget? Are we going to go over my budget? We didn't anticipate that we were going to have this high of a turnover in June.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know exactly how much this is going to cost me. So in the prompt, I asked Lenny to go and reevaluate and add a budget,
Uh-huh.
add the costs. And so it took the exact same spreadsheet that I had and edited it, which is super cool
Yep.
because it's the exact same thing, right? But it
Uh-huh.
did your unit cost here and your extended cost. So obviously, 10 units is estimating to be, the reglazing of the bathtub, which is super expensive.
Uh-huh.
And this is the extended estimated cost. Now, do you have to order that many? No, it's just a recommendation, right?
Yeah,
So
of course.
that regional property manager or community manager who's working with the maintenance supervisor can say, you know what? I see that we've got 10 total, but this is anticipating that every unit is going to be in a poor condition.
Yep, yep.
So we know exactly how much it's going to be. So let's go ahead and do half. Let's anticipate we have half for the first
Mhm.
15 days in our budget, and then
Uh,
we can go back and add for the last 15 days of our budget.
yeah, because we
But
can add some probabilities. Okay, that's great. Uh-huh.
exactly, right? So this starts the conversation. Hey, we probably don't need to order 30 buckets of paint right away. This is for the whole month. Joe, I want you to order, just 10 for right now, and then we'll come back and order the next, so forth and so on. So
Mm-hmm.
this is where it starts a conversation. A community manager and a maintenance supervisor can sit down and go
Mm-hmm.
through their order based on fact and logic, not
Yeah, no,
guessing.
yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's okay. So here's work orders, same kind of thing. Hey, we know that typically this type of time of month, we have a lot of work orders, especially with HVAC. So let's go ahead and plan that we need to spend the $1,900 and let's get it done. Because I
I,
don't want our customers to be waiting for you to order stock. I want our customers to be taken care of right away. So we want to have the stock available. And see,
mm-hmm.
that's the difference because a lot of teams are so good and so conscientious about their budgets and what they do, but they don't always have the exact facts, especially in work orders.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit more in turns, but not as much in work orders. So to be able to go in there and say, oh gosh, we had so many, toilet flapper problems last month. Yeah, let's make sure we have enough of this on the shelf, okay? Because we don't want you to be running to Home Depot to go get them.
Yeah. No, and I'm thinking like one step further. Let's say we have an inventory list, Excel spreadsheet, and we can just ask Laney, okay, I already have this. Tell me what's the balance. And Laney organize the whole GL codes and put one against the other and tells the balance how much we need to pay. So all of that is super interesting.
Exactly,
Yep.
exactly. So here's a summary for you so that you can break it all down and decide, what you actually really want to order. So this to me is a very practical application for AI to
Hmm.
extract all the data that our teams would never have the time nor the inclination to be able to, or really, just to get all this information. It's difficult.
Yeah.
And so Lenny does this extraction in 20 minutes and gives them a list that is easy to use, simple to read, understanding the budgets, and be able to apply this to a practical
Yeah.
solution. And just think how much time it saves.
How long would it take someone to do all this work?
So I don't know if it's a matter of how long. I think it's a matter of if. So, I'm not sure that honestly we give the tools to our site teams to be able to extract this information. They're looking back in their previous purchases at their purchase orders that they've already done for the month before or for their invoices in their PMS system. And they're saying, all right, last month we did, 5 paints or 10 paints. So we've got, on our make ready board right now, we have 10
Mm-hmm.
units. So let's go ahead and order that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good system, but it's probably not the most probable
Yeah.
because they're not taking into consideration what happens when you get a skip or hey, it's June and July. Have we ordered enough HV supply,
Mm-hmm.
to be able to take care of 50 work orders?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's
Does our budget allow that?
yeah. Looking backwards is not always good because you can have like unforeseen circumstances already in place, and you probably gonna miss it if you're not, or gonna order more or less than you need. And in either case, you're losing money. You're wasting money.
And that's
Yeah.
the case. I was just thinking sometimes they order more because they're thinking, oh gosh, June's our crazy month, right? And
Yeah.
so we have tons of turnover last year in June. Well, maybe we don't this year. Maybe they've
Mhm.
done better in renewals. Maybe they've done better in collections that they don't have as much turnover this year.
Yeah.
So, the point is that, this agent is helping them make decisions based on actual fact at their fingertips in 20 minutes
Mhm.
because it will take them so much longer than 20 minutes to go through their invoices and POs and determine exactly what that is. And let me just express too, when the guys go do a PO, one of the things I help organizations with is their PO systems.
Mhm.
And I set up shopping lists for the guys. I set up one for turns. I set up one for certain common service requests. And we put in the GL codes for them automatically for the POs. And we put all of the SKU numbers in there because it makes it easier for them and quicker for them. They don't have time to sit at a computer and look through a
Yeah.
catalog.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
know.
sometimes I'll have to tell you, they don't always order the same parts, right? So
Mhm.
without having SKU numbers or that exact invoice that you ordered it from the last time, they may order a different size
Yeah.
accidentally. And
Mhm.
so this again gives them the exact order that they
Mhm.
should be doing.
Yeah. No, this was great because I think it's super palpable. Like it's kind of physical. You can see the direct translation of AI into how you're gonna do your maintenance moving forward. How you're gonna forecast your inventory and all of that. So that's what I think a lot of real estate companies they don't know or they don't see. And I don't blame them, of course, because you don't know what you don't know. And these ideas keeps coming along, and that's where we can deploy and see, okay, if I'm doing this, I can do that, I can do that. So I think it was really, really interesting, really great. And I know you have more examples that I'm looking forward to bring you in the next couple of weeks here. Because again, I'm learning so much from all of this, and I think our audience is also learning because again, applying directly into their operations is different than just saying like it's here, do it whatever you want, and let's see the outcome. It's totally different. Again, thank you so much for your time today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode of AI in Real Estate.
Thanks for having me. I look forward to next time.